Tuesday night, federal budget, massive show we're going to have for you. It's going to be one of our biggest post-show budgets ever. Straight after KG and his team has a look at the budget, we'll tell you what our big takeaways are. But the expectations are it's going to be a lot like last year's budget. Big spending, big assistance to the community, and of course an election is in the offing, and that is why. Now, one of the big ideas that came out over the weekend is that some single-parent households might be able to qualify for just a 2% deposit scheme to be able to buy a house. Most people need about 10%, depending on where you live. The government will guarantee the other 8%, so if you've got a little bit of savings, you might be able to get a home. Here's the government explaining why it's a good idea, particularly for single parents.
We know, and all the data supports this, that the hurdle for single parents on single incomes to get into the housing market is getting that deposit together. The Family Home Guarantee will enable single parents to jump that hurdle, because the Morrison government believes all Australians who aspire to purchase a home should be given that opportunity. And there are few more important people in our society than single parents, the people who are working hard to raise the next generation of Australians.
Well, there's lots of people that are just as important as single parents, but you get the politics behind all of this. It's also part of what's going to be lots of money focused particularly on female issues and female economic issues. Now, despite the fact that this is a scheme that will potentially put thousands of people into home ownership, something good for their families, good for their own retirement, when decades later they may get to sell those properties, which, if you look at the current market, they are only going to go up monster in value. Of course, the Labor Party has a problem with just a 2% threshold now for some single parents to be able to get a home.
There are about 1 million single parent families around Australia. This will help about 10,000 a year. In other words, 1 in 100. This isn't the Mother's Day present that the government makes it out to be.
So without the scheme, the 10,000 don't get to buy a house? Talk about trying to find the half empty in everything. For his part, Josh Frydenberg sat down with Kieran Gilbert to give a little preview of what the budget's going to be. It's going to be big spending, like it or not.
How would you characterise this budget ahead of you delivering it on Tuesday?
Well, Kieran, this is another pandemic budget, but there is a road to recovery, and Australia is seeing some very positive signs with the economy, but we're not out of this crisis yet. You only have to see terrible events around the world, including in India, as well as here. We've had state-wide lockdowns, for example, recently in Western Australia, to remind us that the virus is still with us. It's very stubborn.
And according to the Reserve Bank, they expect that if there is more government spending, as expected, then things like the jobless rate will continue to go down. Remember, more people today have a job, more than 13 million, than before the pandemic started. Whether they have a good job or not, obviously always up for debate, but still, that is always a good sign. So think about how few cases we are, think about how okay our economy is going, in fact how good our economy is going compared to lots of other countries. Thank goodness the current mob are in charge.